A warm welcome. I'm excited to welcome the co founder of DevRev, Manoj Agarwal. Manoj is the co founder and president of DevRev, one of the hottest startups in Silicon Valley, which raised Series A funding of $100 million valued over $1 billion. An alumni of IIT Kanpur, previously held executive positions at Nutanix and was leading a team of 2,000 plus engineers at Nutanix. It's great to have you here, Manoj. Incredible journey from leading large scale enterprise products at Nutanix to now building DevRev with Dheeraj Pandey. I've long admired your ability to build and scale game changing companies. Watching your journey from small town to IT Kanpur to Nutanix to DevRev, it's been amazing. Thank you for being a friend and a mentor. This is my second time I am getting the opportunity to sit across Manoj and have a fireside chat. Let me tell you one interesting fun fact. Last time I blogged about 2 hours with Manoj, and the fireside chat went over 3 hours and 45 minutes. So it's a pleasure again. Without further ado, let me kickstart. How could such startups adapt to stay relevant, Manoj? Uh, DevRev is an AI native company. There are a lot of SaaS companies here who are not AI native, who are not AI first companies. So, what should they do to stay relevant?
See, first of all, like the good thing is that we are even having this conversation. It's super important. Uh, I just think about, first of all, once we also look at what's happening around the world, the investment that is also going into the AI, just the infrastructure spend itself. Its target, probably you have heard, 500 billion. So, like half a trillion. You look at every hyperscalers that you start to add that close to 300 billion of investment. Just the AI infrastructure above. We are talking about 200 billion euro being committed at Paris AI convention. We are talking about Indian budget that just got approved also had increased the AI spend significantly compared to what it was from a year ago. Every single government is going and putting the money in there. So at least we know right now we are at the very beginning, very beginning of, let's say, 2006 of AWS, which created so much more on top of it. So to be even thinking about that, if let's say $1 trillion that is being spent today, probably more money will that come in just for the infrastructure alone. We're talking about, even if it is 20x of applications that gets built on top of it, we are talking about $20 trillion kind of money, or the, let's say, the outcome or output that will come from it. So first of all, that we all have to recognize that there is an opportunity and we are at a very beginning of it, and the fact that you are all thinking about it, that in itself is a great thing. Now, how do you start? What problem statement that you pick? So we really worry about it that, okay, I'm not quite there or not, but it's still very beginning. I mean, they continue to explore, pick up some of the hard problems. Don't just build the GPT wrapper, because that doesn't work, because at the speed that we will all build that, we'll also get wiped out also at the same speed, or probably faster.
DevRev was built as an AI first company from day one, unlike legacy companies that are now refitting AI. What were the few key decisions you made early on in 2020 when you started? And I have a follow-up question that, in hindsight, was there anything counterintuitive about building AI first company?
First of all, like the comfort of the previous company, leaving that. Our previous company was Nutanix.
Fun fact, he was leading about 2,000 plus engineers at Nutanix. Left that to co-found DevRev with Dheeraj Pandey in 2020.
Yes, it was end of 2020. Like, people can think about COVID time. You had nothing else to do. Just look at the sky, empty sky, and think that, okay, there is one more thing. If you want to do, what will that be? So
Story started from the backyard.
some of that, yeah, it was in the backyard. So that's what happens. But yeah, if you are going to go and do something, the problem statement itself has to be, it's a multi-decade kind of idea, and something that you have yourself faced in the building of the company, the current company at that time, and something that we couldn't really solve inside the company. And when you go and think about it, that is a problem that every single company that faces out there. And the question is, if you go and build something for that multi-decade, you have to think about that, okay, what are the new technology or where the technology is going to be? And are you going to go and use those as the building blocks? Or are you going to use what is there in the past? And this is where that even our conversation with Khosla, who was already invested in OpenAI, we were talking about GPT at that time. Uh, our first paper that we wrote, it had GPT all over it. Back then, nobody understood what GPT was. Frankly, we also didn't understand it. And but at least the intent was there that in 2020, like today, the vector database like VectorDB, everybody talks about it. That's something that is also foundational. Back then, it didn't exist, at least commercially. That could be multi-tenant, can work for a very, very small scale also, for a very large scale also. It didn't exist. So we had to go and make decisions to invest in those kind of technology very early on ourselves. So yeah, it was AI first for the reason that where the future is going, some insights from the valley. So we go and invest there versus just go and build the whole way.
Interesting question. India versus US, AI adoption. Who's moving faster?
I don't know about the adoption just yet. But I can say that there is a lot of foundational work that is happening right now. And I'm just talking about the basic building block infrastructure. You look at LLMs, and in my head, at least the LLM is new hardware, is commodity. There are going to be enough fight in there. Sometime OpenAI will be like 5% better. Sometime like Llama will claim that, okay, I'm better. From within that somewhere that DeepSeek kind of things will come also show that, okay, I can do it at 1/100th of the cost of what other people are doing, and maybe just basic assumptions that they're going to go and change completely. But the reality is that is all commodity and will continue to be commodity. A question is that on top of that, what can we build? There is a lot. And in terms of the adoption, I think any new technology, it has to go through its own technology adoption curve, which is innovators before early adopters, before early majority, late majority, and laggards. So we are talking about right now the innovators and early adopters maybe mostly, and which is like the 16% of the market, big enough market there, and then 84% of the market still. I mean, it will take time. We all know that the initial euphoria was that, okay, on ChatGPT, the fact that I can come and ask a question and I put some more documentation, I can go and see the answer from those documentation, and anybody thought that we can go and build it ourselves. That is slowly dying down. It's coming to more realization that it is not that easy. The hallucination is real. Even the RAG pipeline, what people talk about it today, that also is going through so many different iterations there to get it to do something more meaningful for the enterprises and so on. So everybody's thinking about it. I must say there are first set of use cases that they have emerged, but we are talking about at a very, very early stage in terms of adoption.
What GTM playbooks work best for Indian AI startups looking to break into the US market? I mean, I know DevRev is doing global GTM. The GTM playbook involves 4 continents.
At least in my head, the GTM rule book, it doesn't change. The playbook, it doesn't change. Between the SaaS, between the AI. I mean, what we all have to figure out the ASP. And if there is enough value that we are bringing it out, doesn't matter from which part of the world, enough value is there, that's something that customer is willing to pay. And we, in the absence of that, what happens is, while I can go and build it very, very cheap, let's say with the lever that exists here, but I'll not be able to sell it or get in front of the customers to be able to go and sell it. Because at the end of the day, that those transactions that you are going to go and run, it requires, there's money, there's cost associated with it. The entire go-to-market, sales-led motion, the marketing engine that you need also behind it. And you will not be able to justify the cost of that, because unless you think that we can all do PLG, product-led growth, and it's going to take some time. And the product-led growth always requires that, okay, 10 years kind of journey, at some point that will take off. But if you think about a sales-led go-to-market, you first need to think about the value and their ability to go and pay that much. If you start in India, let's say, and you were used to selling, let's say, for $5,000, $10,000 kind of transactions, it will be very, very hard from the go-to-market perspective.
I know you have a fantastic DevRev for Startups program. And we have Gaurav from the DevRev team who's leading it globally. So if any startups here would like to understand the DevRev for Startups program, please connect. Gaurav, how do you think about startups, SMB, enterprise all together and global GTM, like in couple of continents? I'm sure this is each of the founders here want to do that. But just apart from money, right? Like fundamentally, what is the founder mindset to start thinking?
It's a great question. By the way, one of the criteria actually is in our head was if the new age companies, the new companies who are getting founded today, if they're not using your product today, sooner or later you're going to get obsolete. And that simply meant, all it meant was, if you build a new startup, there has to be some use case that these startups will come and adopt. So for us, like when we think about it, there is obviously startup segment, there is SMB, there is mid-market, and there is enterprise. Now the question is that can you really build a product that can go and address all of these four segments? Because the enterprise, when you think about the product, is built very differently, and the kind of feature set that it requires is very different. Something that you only look at it when you get out of these innovators and early adopters fails. You start to look at, let's say, early majority, late majority, and laggards stage. And by then, maybe the product gets to a point where that you can't even go and change the profile of the product itself, the enterprise. And I've done a talk where I talk about like when founders, they start to think about the MVP, they should focus on not just the MVP from the product building perspective, what they build and bring into the market. They should focus more on MVP architecture. And MVP architecture has to take into account the later three part of the category, which simply says that, okay, I had actually built my architecture in a way that when I go to those customers that I'm actually ready, or I'm going to be ready. It may mean that 20% extra that you have to spend early, but it's going to pay a very rich dividend when you go there. Otherwise, with 20x more expensive, maybe we never be able to get there. So something that, we all should be thinking about.
With the advent of agentic AI, businesses are shifting from static automation to dynamic decision-making AI systems. So how do you see agentic AI transforming the way software is built and sold? What are the fundamental shifts in product design?
Wow. Like everybody's talking about agentic nowadays, no? And I'm like, we are also experiencing it ourselves right now. I was just looking at the innovations that is happening inside DevRev, and one of the things that when you ask a question, like say a problem statement that I have, that I want to just know what exactly is happening in the organization, and there are lots of different skills that are at play at that point, because inside the organization, you get inside the room, there's a lot of people who are sitting, they're all bringing the different skills at the table because they have access to different set of information. And when you ask this question, there is typically a debate that happens amongst people. And then you get to know, okay, somebody will take notes, probably can go and summarize it. This is what we discussed. This is what the conclusion was. Now, all of that, just think about it. Asking a system which had this information, maybe in different silos also in there, being able to construct that answer and come and provide you in a way, succinct way, which actually the need for that meeting completely goes away. And this is what I'm experiencing right now with what we call agentic AI. Now, to get realized that today, just the chain of thought. So the way that we start to teach, even the AI today, and the way that we are building, so you asked a question, I don't know whether that machine got it right or not. So first, give me the chain of thought, how are you going to go and solve? And maybe I have to go and verify that you are thinking right. If you're thinking right, or if you're not thinking right, then I'm going to say that, okay, try a different method. It should come up with a new chain of thought. And once you are satisfied that you said, okay, this is good, Now give me the answer. Now at this point in real time, the code is getting generated. Real code is getting generated and getting run on Lambda to be able to bring all this information out and constructing that answer in a way that human can go and understand it. And they're going and taking action on that data then to, let's say, go and notify this person or create this or send this information out to somebody else is what we are talking about now with the agentic AI. Something that was like unthinkable or before. So now, is it one way of thinking, obviously, that how we can do? Now you can start to construct the SaaS that the way that we were thinking. Typically, there was all this system of record, or let's say the systems that already the big company kind of owns. And then we all built an extension to this system of record to go and do something meaningful. The question is that meaningful thing that we are doing with the SaaS, with the business logic that we are going and putting that, is that get converted into these agentic or agents? And now new is SaaS company, does it look like that, okay, I'm going to provide you, here are the 10 agents that are going to come and work for one particular business problem that you're trying to solve on this particular infrastructure that will just come and work for you. So things like those that I think is what will start to become. Question is it only for one verticals that where, let's say, Salesforce is talking about with Agent Force? You go to ServiceNow, they have their own force, whatever that they call it. I mean, every single company is just thinking about on the vertical, what they can go and do. But at least in my head, it has to be like across multiple sources of information, both structured data and unstructured data.
I'm thinking there will be a world wherein agents will be talking to each other and we will not be there. We won't exist. What do you think about this?
But that's already happening if you just think about it. We are talking about, we are planting ourselves, whatever skills that I have, I'm going and codifying that in plain English. That's my skill. Now there is another, what we call in the AI agents, when I ask for a problem, it is pulling all those skills and constructing that with a chain of thought that these are all the skills that I'm going to go and apply. And those skills then are converted into the code to be able to get the information out. So in that sense, it's actually looking at human, the skills that they have and translating that with the machine.
A follow-up question to this. Folks here want to use AI. What practices has DevRev taken since the start to effectively and efficiently use AI internally across maybe, let's say, GTM function? Your favorite tool maybe?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, we all have to think about the people that we have inside the company. Are they AI first also or not? Do you really think that, do they have skills even? The AI skills, whatever that we define, the AI skills. Just like, or even for the developers previously, it was, okay, I'm back-end engineer, I'm front-end engineer. We started to talk about, okay, no, you are full stack engineer now. So I can like really go across. Now the new definition, is it like AI engineer? Everybody's calling them. So even though like I have 10 years of experience, I call myself AI engineer. And how do you really suddenly become AI engineer? It's something that we all have to think about. At least what I hear, like, and we all know, like the shelf life of learning what we had before. Or a lot of you are very, very young. So 30 years, let's say, was the shelf life for the learning. It has shrunk to, maybe in the last year, I heard that it has shrunk to 6 years or something. So every 6 years that you have to like relearn everything. I think that has shrunk even further. I don't know whether it's 2 years or 3 years, something like that. With everything that is happening, like every single month that you see so much that has moved because of the AI. The question is that, are we ready, first of all, to be able to, people that we work with every day, are we really training them to be ready inside the company before we start to think about the outside? So that's one thing from the practice perspective. The second thing, that once you have that, you did it well, then every single function is already talking about internally what to use from the AI perspective. Today, like when I talk to the people, let's say a certain role that I need to hire, I just asked, okay, like, are you like, everything that you're talking to me right now is like, that was in the last decade, because that's the experience that you have. But let's say you just wipe that out, and what's happening right now going forward, like what are you going to go and adopt, or how are you going to go and do this? For example, enablement. Now when you're doing the enablement, everybody will talk about that, okay, I'm going to go and first of all create the all kind of information, and then going to go and give the training to the people, right? That's what people typically in the enablement that they'll do. But the things are changing so fast outside. If the things are changing so fast outside, the enablement is not going to work the way that it used to work. So you need to figure out how you distribute this information also fast. So you just have to go and teach the mechanics of the enablement to the people, where you're going to get the information. And every time that you are going in front of the customers, you may have to go and do 10-15 minutes of extra work through this system that will give you exactly what you need to be in front of that customer. So I mean, just the thinking process, if those people, they don't have that, then they are never going to be there. So just one example.
I know, I remember 2 years ago when you were taking a session in San Mateo, you spoke about like you had a hackathon in DevRev, and we will be AI first and like AI across the company. How should founders here start thinking? They're all stages, but a show of hands, early stage founders. Yeah, for early stage founders, a million ARR kinds. How should they? I mean, yes, hackathon, sure. Let a team meeting. Let's explore, brainstorm. How?
Again, I don't have to really preach it. We all know right now, if let's say pre-AI era, if we had a product market fit, that doesn't mean anything today. It's absolute doesn't mean anything. We also know that, and that is an opportunity, by the way, for all of us in this room.
A lot of us are scared.
It's an opportunity because like it's just the market is so huge, so much value will get created. If we just be on it, it just feels like again pre-internet or internet era where it started. People who like sticked around, they did really well. So it is like that. If we start to think about it that way, then every single decisions that as a founder that you are going to make, every single person that you bring in the company, the people who are here inside the company, that you will start to think about that feature. Every single tool systems that you use today, you have to question whether it is bringing value for me, for where I want to be. Because new age companies, they will be a lot more efficient than the companies who were there before us. They are not going to be that efficient. It will be much difficult for them to get to where we get to start from. So when you think about it, every single department that you are putting together, every single systems that you are putting together, whether you are building it yourself, whether you're bringing it up from outside, you should be thinking really hard. Am I really building it for the next 10 years, or am I just going to go and building it in the past? That's the way to think about it.
Pricing AI products, the next frontier. Traditional SaaS pricing models may not fully capture. How should we playbook for pricing?
Yeah, so with AI, at least we all understand is we are not just doing the work per PP, but we are also increasing the efficiency significantly. Thereby, let's say that we are reducing the work of the people, human. So value add is much higher. So the question is, how do you really capture both sides? So there is a concept of like you all hear about it right now, which is outcome based pricing that we can start to have, which is like consumption based pricing, but that also has the outcome connected to this, makes it much easier. That kind of works for the small companies, frankly speaking, but when you go to the enterprise, because there is budget cycle, they can't exceed certain things. So you'll have to think about what kind of cap that you can start to put. How do you really build it in a way that, okay, for this year, based on the estimate that we are going to only charge this much, but for the next year, we are going to do it up because we'll have to go and budget it accordingly and so on. So there are all of these considerations that are at place. But yeah, per user pricing is still intact based on number of people. But then there is outcome based pricing, especially in the context of the AI, that actually market is willing to take, but especially in the enterprises where there is pricing, while there is flexibility on this one side, but there is also cap that they want to put. There is a lot that we are going to learn. I mean,
How did you do it? The first
that's what we're
enterprise.
right now.
How many enterprise customers?
I'm not going to talk about my numbers, but like it's still early days. Again, there is a lot of euphoria, a lot of enthusiasm. There's a lot that is happening. There is also question inside every enterprises right now. They're also trying to figure out what does data mean, what does data governance mean. Suddenly, that the CIOs are becoming a lot more powerful. With SaaS, actually, the lot of control actually went back to the businesses. Now it's going back to the CIOs again. Many companies are looking to bring in new person, either from the data side. If they had a data scientist or data organization, they are becoming more powerful. If they don't, there's some of them are bringing chief innovation officer, chief AI officer in the company. The new terminology for the data science, frankly speaking. And but yeah, data governance is something that is really big. CIOs are becoming a lot more powerful. The decision making, one thing that we see that it's a board level conversation. Every single company, they do have budget right now on the AI side.
I've had the opportunity to meet you a couple of times, have chat, learn so much. I want to dive deep into the founder mindset. We all build with our why, like the Ikigai. So how did you think about DevRev? And also, there are many people in the room who don't know what is DevRev. So a follow-up question is, why DevRev and what is DevRev?
Concept is very simple. This is something that we have all dealt with in the process of building the company or being part of a company and so on, which is the basic thing that we start the company with. That is the most important is the product that I have and the customers who I serve. Those are the only two things that matters. And the thing is that this stays true throughout the company. It doesn't matter how big or small that you are. Product and customers. Those are the two things most important. And then we have people inside the companies, they do the work. Work for what? They all work for the product, they all work for the customer. There is nothing else. I mean, that's the way to think about it. Now, this is the work that we put it into so many different systems today. And there are workflows that are designed for those kind of work. That's what happens inside the company. If I'm in sales, I have to go to the CRM. I have opportunity that's my work. That's what I work on. If I'm in customer support, I have tickets that I deal with from the customers. I have an SLA side to it. There is entire workflows that exist for that. If I'm in software development, I work on, let's say, features, so issues or Jira tickets or whatever you want to call it. So that's what I work on. But there was too much silos. Like as you start to become, what you find is each of these work items, they created the silos on its own because it didn't really combine it to the product and customer, the very basic thing about the company. And is where that we required so much, people just to bridge this different department, because every department had their own tools to do their work. So idea of DevRev was these two basic thing, which is product and customers. Dev is for development, which is proxy for product, or Dev is for revenue, which is proxy for customers. How do you really bring these two things together with the use of .ai, which was like really the short form for us was data, design, and machine intelligence. That's what we did for the DevRev. But in the process of that, it was super important for us to see where the customers are here today, how we really connect with their data sources, how do you bring the structured data, unstructured data together, how do you bring the knowledge graph, how do you build some of the very foundational stuff, search, enterprise search, workflow engine, the entire data warehousing, reporting, dashboarding, analytics, and then we start to build the applications on top of it for the different use cases and the agentic workload on top of it.
Fireside chat. I love this round. Rapid fire questions. What's the hardest decision that you had to take as a founder in DevRev? Last 4 years, hardest decision.
It's always about people. It's nothing else. Hardest decision is like, okay, you, every single person has a lot of strength, right? A lot of strength, and with which that you go and bring them on board. And what happens is that companies are moving very fast. And if the person doesn't really grow faster than the company, then you have to make some difficult decisions. I mean, those are always the hardest decisions.
One lesson about leadership you wish you knew earlier.
Saying no.
Have you been able to crack it?
I think so. Maybe we should ask Gaurav.
A common mistake you see founders making when they're scaling their company.
Hanging on to some of the people for too long, I would say, because especially because who work during the building phase, not necessarily they are also the scalers. May have to just bring the scalers at that stage also. Not saying that the builders that you don't keep, you keep them, but you also have to bring new people.
So gut or data?
For me, it is gut.
What's the best piece of advice you have ever received?
I receive it every day from every single employee, so I'm just thinking about whichever.
They have a very cool thing internally in the company. Like it's a very flat structure and anyone can write to him and they have his number and access essentially.
I don't know really, but like I receive it every day.
So what's the advice today that you receive?
Sometimes people will say that I can get some sleep. That's just saying that go away, right? Don't waste my time.
You never waste. Most exciting AI breakthrough in the last year? At DevRev, maybe?
Even like outside, right now so much happening outside. I would say DeepSeek right now. That's definitely, I think, it will change some paradigm, because otherwise, like everybody thinking about like unless I have $100 million, I can't even go and train. And that thing in my head right now, that common thing right now. And if it just the access is there for every single person, we can start to think about this thing that other might be saying that, okay, you can't do it, probably you can go and do it.
An AI trend everybody is super excited about, but you feel skeptical about it.
I'm not skeptical at all. I mean, absolutely not. I think this is something that is the future. Better we get on it. And I truly believe that people with AI will replace people without AI.
If you had to bet on one company besides DevRev to dominate AI, which one would it be?
I have no idea about this question.
Come on.
It has to be something in the healthcare. So I'll have to go and like really say that, okay, which one? But yeah, it has to be in the healthcare.
And I remember our conversation when you mentioned that in tier 2, tier 3 cities, access to healthcare is still difficult. So if AI can help.
Yeah, because there is two areas, right? There is education and there is healthcare. So access to, just thinking about like a lot of people, like the difference between getting to the premier institute versus getting to, let's say, we can call it tier 2, tier 3 schools. The politics is from the students, there's not much difference. Like literally, there is not much difference. The question is, could that gap be bridged with the access to the information to a lot of the students that they don't have it today?
What is the biggest misconception about AI today, according to you?
That it will take away jobs.
You think it won't?
I don't think so. It's just new skill set that will be developed. People are going to be elevated a little bit more. Classic, product managers who become general manager, as opposed to their part of the product management, they do a lot of project management, which is something that will not be required. If somebody was doing the L1 support, they can start to do L2. So the skill set basically goes up. If you are doing L2, I can do L3 and L4. Why not? So you just see that the skill set just goes up. If I'm a developer, you start to scale, you start to put, okay, I'm 1x developer, 2x developer. There's no such thing that we say, but there is 10x developer. Everybody talks about, can this 1x developer, 2x developer become 6x developer, 7x developer with the use of the technology? So I think that's just going to elevate people.
Your favorite productivity hack or tool?
Right now, it's all ChatGPT or I still, those are the ones.
One startup that you're really excited about
It's DevRev.
outside of DevRev?
There's a lot happening. These are very traditional ones right now. We are talking about OpenAI also. I'm still very, very excited on everything that they're doing. I'm very keenly watching like what exactly the next thing that they're going to go and do as well.
Favorite book?
Wow. Why do you have like these so many questions?
We want to know about all of you. I mean, all of us want to know.
All-time favorite for me is like Only the Paranoid Survive, and I think it's pretty apt right now. Only the Paranoid Survive by Andy Grove. And it's like you just read it enough number of times that you still feel like that I'm learning something new. It gives you a lot of courage every time that you read. The other one is like from Peter Thiel, this book 0 to 1. I mean, I'm sure that all the founders they read it all the time. So
Last question before I give it to open the floor for more questions. You travel so much, and of course, it's such a fast-paced. How do you manage less sleep, more travel, high functioning, high performance, high? How do you travel? How do you manage it?
yeah, first basically you have to enjoy the jet lag. It's super important. If you start to enjoy jet lag, then you don't think about travel much.
I hope you're not feeling sleepy right now. This is morning time, US.
Yes, so I came here on day before yesterday, so I'm still managing it well.
Thank you for joining us, and thanks to everyone in the audience.